Red, read out by Praj Miko. I often view myself through the lenses I can only describe as red. Some find red a violent color. Some find it an omen of death. Some find it beautiful. I'm not sure how I feel about it personally, but for me it always brings to mind a state of innocence. Maybe that's because red makes me think of Little Red Riding Hood. It feels a bit childish to put to paper, but when I think about it, that's probably the connection. Little Red Riding Hood is young. She's naive. She wanders into the forest without understanding that it is home to wolves. She wanders into the forest and strays from its path. She abandons safety in lieu of recklessness. She thinks that safety simply follows her, even away from the dirt roads meant to guide her to comfort and happiness. She's naive and childish. The forest is home to wolves. Everyone knows they're here, but nobody expects them to appear. Nobody expects them to pounce. As long as they simply keep their head down, nobody will ever need to encounter a wolf. Little Red won't need to encounter a wolf. All she needs to do is walk forward, follow the path, and at the end of it, she'll remain unmarred, pristine, just as she was when she set foot into the woods. Wolves have teeth like daggers. Little Red is no match for something like that. Wolves are fast. They have claws. They're intelligent. They hunt. Little Red is just a kid. All she has is the path. I'm a believer in the idea that children are better off before they've grown, before they've seen what the world can do to people, before they can understand that evil exists without reason. Some people simply hurt other people. Maybe it's fun for them. Maybe they gain something from it. Children wander through the world without knowing that. Children wander off the path with no thought to the fact that these woods are home to wolves. When I see myself as Little Red, perhaps I'm being optimistic. To see myself as someone who still has the chance to follow the path. Someone who still has the chance to go back and avoid wandering into the woods. The truth is, their claws are already buried in my back. The truth is, I'm already covered in bite marks. They go down to the bone. They stay there. It almost makes you want to be a wolf, sometimes. It almost makes you violent. The idea that if you had claws, and you had teeth, and if you could run and stalk and hunt, you'd be able to protect yourself, defend yourself. It makes you want to be worse. It makes you want to pull your hood down and run into the tree line, where it'll be your turn to ruin a life, where it'll be your turn to bite and claw and hurt people, but you're not a wolf. You're Little Red. Remember that. Remember that. Hello, I'm Praj Miko. Well, that's not my real-life name, as this should be viewed by my teacher, but I may or may not have decided to just upload this publicly, so yeah. I'll be answering all of the culminating content, or any questions, in this video. For starters, what I chose to read out to you, specifically the transcript, is called Red by Sasaki Hitomi. The author is Vaughn Babbitt. Before I continue any further, I do not support any actions from Vaughn Babbitt, and I only chose this poem because I personally relate to it. Moving along, while reading the transcript, here are some things that I've collected. For starters, I was told to collect 6 significant quotations that develop the theme. Here are some things that I've gathered. For starters, when she states, I often view myself through the lenses I can only describe as red. She sets the central by saying this, making her own self-perception the topic. These are the first words that she says in the transcript. She's setting the tone at what she's about to write by stating an I feel statement. For the second one, she says, some find red a violent color. Some find it an omen of death. She's acknowledging the sinister and more traumatic way that people relate red to. She acknowledges that that way of thinking exists and implies that people can have their own thoughts of it. Speaking of such, for the third one, she says, "For me, it always brings to mind a state of innocence." This line is considered her highlighting the tragic irony of associating danger with purity. Although, for me, it makes me think that she's trying to bring light to a dark meaning. That relation is also quite understandable. For the fourth one, she says, "Little Red Riding Hood is young. She is naive. She wanders into the forest." This is her establishing how Little Red Riding Hood is vulnerable and not expecting danger. She's establishing what she thinks of Little Red Riding Hood, of how she views the Little Red Riding Hood story. Speaking of Little Red Riding Hood, the fifth one states, "She abandons safety in lieu of recklessness," illustrating her transition into the dangerous, traumatic, and intimate situation. According to what people think, at the very least, I personally still think that Sasaki is still voicing her thoughts. For the last one, she states, "As long as they simply keep their head down, nobody will ever need to encounter a wolf." She's acknowledging the final painful realization of predatory danger that people can sometimes realize in a situation that people may not realize it until it's too late. This transcript, as I'm not going to really consider it an episode, this transcript gave me a feeling of being recognized for my own situation, my own pain, for being innocent as a child. Sometimes people can use that. Sometimes people can attack you and you just won't realize it. That's how I view what Sasaki's saying. She's talking about her own experience, how she didn't know, and how there's now teeth marks bitten into her that she never wanted because she was just a kid. Now, for my artistic choices. For starters, I wanted to make it seem like there was wind blowing, so I decided to use the smudge tool on iBlitz Paint X, as that was the application that I used. This is because Little Red Riding Hood is in a forest. I made the art piece while imagining myself in Little Red Riding Hood's shoes, and I would have felt terrified. I would have felt cold and alone, and I wouldn't know what to do. Being in a forest is scary. Being there is terrifying. And if you're there by yourself, it's unknown what could happen. And it's scary being alone and not being with someone who could help you, or not trusting someone who could help you, as someone already bit you. That can cause you to hold fear. I felt like symbolizing the wind would make her feel scared even more, and that's how people portray scary scenes. In one of the pictures, the second biggest one, I made it so where the wolf looked like a human, while portraying the wind. Maybe Little Red Riding Hood didn't see him. My second artistic choice is going for the theme of red, mainly because that was the artistic choice originally used, but because that choice is associated with AI, I decided to add my own spin to it. I decided to lean into a messy art style instead of my regular sketchy style. It is still quite messy, but I decided to lean more into it. To lean into more of what could happen to you, of what could happen. And that's what people fear. And that's what people hate to fear. In one of the other drawings, for my third artistic choice, I decided to add lines through one of the pieces. This was due to the fact that I wanted to make it look like someone who couldn't help themselves, who were trapped in something, who were being cut or bitten, like how Sasaki describes how she was already bitten through. For my fourth artistic choice, I attempted to make one of the characters seem uncomfortable. I don't know if I should entirely go back into detail, as it was just solely because of the transcript and the meaning that is on the wiki. For my fifth artistic choice, I decided to put black figures that looked like wolves. This is because the attackers are portrayed as wolves. And finally, for my sixth and final artistic choice that I can list, because I am running out of time on my recording app, my final artistic choice is drawing a character who looked unsettled, who looked scared, quite like the Little Red Riding Hood drawing that I portrayed, but how I felt during my own situation. Like how Sasaki describes her own, I decided to portray my own too. Now, to finally finish this off, the theme of my poem is about sexual assault awareness. It's important to be aware of sexual assault. It can happen every single day. Men and female can both be sexually assaulted. Men and female can be the ones attacking. No matter the age, child-on-child sexual assault exists. Assault between cults, anything. It still exists and it can still harm someone. And it's good to be aware of what the consequences or what someone can feel like when going through it. I know the limit was supposed to be 10 minutes, so I deeply apologize as I didn't want to entirely go through the whole entire video and just start cutting the audio. So again, I entirely apologize that this is now 13 minutes. This is my fault, and I take full accountability for not making it shorter. I do not mind that it takes off my grade, so long as I do get my point across. That's all for now. I hope not only did the audience enjoy it, but while my teacher is grading it, I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.